Hello, welcome to another edition of our weekly coffee release at Blending Room. And today, this video is going to be talking about La Pastora, a honey processed mixed cultivar coffee from Costa Rica. Inside of this video, I'll walk you through how I roasted this coffee, we'll do an analytical tasting, and then I'll describe how we might be able to take those flavor profiles and transfer them into a brew method at home. Like many of the coffees that I bring into Blending Room, this was sourced by our long-term import partners, Falcon Speciality. And as usual, I've put a little link to their website down below, so if you wanted to know more about their company, you're very welcome to go pay them a visit. Now the intro's done, let's get into the long grass and talk about the roast profiles. This coffee is a mixed cultivar, honey processed coffee from Costa Rica. It is the first honey processed coffee that I've ever roasted on the Loring, so I genuinely didn't have a clue about how I was going to approach the roast profile. What I then had to do is to try to discern some of the information I would have known from roasting honey profiles on the Probat and try to then transfer that into the understanding and ideology when it comes to roast profile development on the Loring. What I then did is I'm beginning to, in the filter profiles that I'm developing, use a pyramid heat approach. That is where you have a lower input of heat at the beginning of the roast, higher input during the middle phase of the roast, and then you taper that off towards the end. So that's the sort of mechanics that I use within this roast. I wanted to develop a profile that has an ever declining roast curve, and I wanted to aim to hit a color that was in the very light spectrum. And this mapped out at 88.3 on our Light Tales color meter. So what does all this mean in lay terms? Basically, I wanted to create a coffee that was light in coloration, which means that you protect and retain as much of the origin characteristics as possible. I wanted to apply a heat profile that accentuates the fruit characteristics, and I had a target brew of filtration-based coffees or full immersion-based coffees where I feel a coffee such as this would really open it up and sing. So as you can see on the screen now, here is the pyramid heat application as I described. A lower heat input at the beginning, tapering up to a lot of heat during the midsection of the roast, and again tapering that away towards the end. I had an end temperature of 213 degrees Celsius. I had a post first crack development time of 1 minute and 25, which represents a 15.4% development time ratio. As you can see, there is also this ever declining roast curve as well. And pretty much this went as I expected it. And what I mean by that is there were no blips, so there was nothing untoward that happened in the roast that I need to mitigate in any of the future batches. And next in this video, I'll talk about the flavor profile and we'll see whether this recipe transfers into something delicious on the table. In this section where I do an analytical tasting of the coffee, I would usually under lab circumstances be doing a cupping. However, I feel that doing a brewed coffee is a better way of conveying these flavor profiles over to you than the cupping itself. You should cup coffee at home, but I guarantee that not many of you do. So today I have prepared a batch brew of the La Pastora, and in the analysis I'm going to do two things: an aroma assessment and an assessment of the taste on my palate. So let's dig into the aroma and see exactly what this coffee gives us. What you'll notice, there's this leading sweetness. There's a touch of a chocolate aroma, and you'll note that there might be a smidge of fruit in there as well. You can almost smell the acidity, and you'll know what I mean if you do have a smell of the coffee that you brew. So next, let's have a sip and do an assessment of the acidity, assessment of the midsection and the finish. So the first thing you'll note when it comes to the acidity is it's lovely and bright. It's very youthful. The acidity presents as a raspberry note and a touch of lime as well. Then in comes a little bit of like orange, but I would say it's a marmalade or a candied orange. So there's a pairing with sweetness in there too. It's not all citrus. On the midsection, you get this marshmallow character. It's pillowy, it's soft, but there's a little bit of a hazelnut in there as well, which is really quite interesting. So far we've got raspberry, lime and orange marmalade, marshmallow and this hazelnut character. So on the finish, you get this lovely chocolate characteristic. I would say it's almost like a dark chocolate. Putting those flavour descriptors together, how should we pair this at home with a brew apparatus? I strongly feel that the roast profile, the end colour and the flavour descriptors would lean heavily into filter-based coffee brewing. That is an area in which there's plenty of dilution and you as the brewer can access all of that flavour spectrum easily. If you were to have this as an espresso, the orange, the raspberry and the lime acidity would be pretty bright in the cup. Some people really enjoy that, but you will get some of the dark chocolate that comes through as well. So it could be a lovely coffee for those who like youthful, sprightly type of espresso. If you enjoy things like AeroPress or cafetiere, you'll get lots of the rich dark chocolate out and that hazelnut and marshmallow as well. And you may also benefit from a little lift of the raspberry, lime and orange marmalade acidity. All in all, I feel this is going to be a very versatile coffee, but would heavily lean towards filter and full immersion brewing and any apparatus that sits within that spectrum. And there we have it. That was La Pastora, the new coffee release from us at Blending Room this week. It is available to purchase online. The web links are down below. You're very welcome to come and visit me in person at Beverley Market every Saturday. And of course, we're open between 9 and 5 p.m. Monday to Friday at the Roastery. I hope this video has proved useful. You have a great week.